friends, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my channel, Storytime with Z. Before we start, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Let's start. The Best Playmate, Kissa Kids Publications, guided by Milana Nabi Mir Abadi. The children waited quietly in their classroom for their teacher. They were dressed neatly and sat with their hands on their laps, ready for Quran class to begin. One student excitedly whispered to another, "I'm sure our teacher has met the Prophet of Allah." "Oh yes, he must have," his friend replied. "My father says that he was playmates with Imam Hussein when he was young." Another boy chimed in, "So he must have seen the Prophet of Allah." The first student repeated confidently. He hardly contained his curiosity as they all waited for the teacher's arrival. Just then the classroom door creaked open slowly. The children sat up a little taller and straighter. Their teacher had arrived. An old, wrinkled face peered into the room. With warm eyes and a welcoming smile, the students looked eagerly toward their teacher, shyly smiling back. Abu Rafi leaned against the door as he entered the classroom. The students quickly stood up. "Salamu alaikum," they called out together, respectfully greeting their teacher. Abu Rafi smiled and replied, "Wa alaikum assalam." Abu Rafi walked towards his desk and sat down. Out of respect, the children waited for him to sit before seating themselves. He began taking attendance by asking for each child's name. "What is your name, my dear son?" he asked one child. The young boy proudly answered, "My name is Hussein." Abu Rafi paused and smiled while he softly whispered to himself, "Hussein, dearest Hussein." He was about to move on to the next child when he heard a quiet voice. "Teacher, is it true that you met Allah's messenger and you played with Imam Hussein?" Abu Rafi smiled and replied, Yes, my dear son. I was Imam Hussein's playmate. We were the same age." Sunlight poured through the window, shining on the tears welling up in Abu Rafi's eyes. The tears began trickling down his cheek. Wiping them away, he continued with a pang of sorrow in his voice. He was the best of playmates. One child also kindly asked, "Teacher, can you please tell us about your time with Imam Hussein alayhi salam?" Abu Rafi did not hear, though and the tears kept rolling down his face. He was lost in thought. Again, another child asked sweetly, "Can you please tell us a story about Imam Hussein alayhi salam?" Abu Rafi placed the Quran on the desk and he looked back at the children. He smiled and asked, "Would you like me to tell you about Imam Hussein's childhood?" The children nodded. "What would you like me to tell you?" One child said, "Tell us about the games you used to play." Abu Rafi laughed softly. "You want to know about our games?" He swallowed hard and continued, "While I was growing up, I used to love playing with him. One of the games we would play was throwing rocks into a hole. After digging a hole, we would take some rocks and try to throw it in the hole. If you missed the hole, the next person had to try to hit your rock with his rock. If he was able to hit your rock, you would have to give him a piggyback ride." Imam Hussein was very good at this game, but his voice trailed off as he chuckled. The children excitedly asked, "But what? But what?" playfully at the children and said, "You see, Imam Hussein was very intelligent." He chuckled again, and the children's eyes grew wide. I would always see him playing and riding on the shoulders of his grandfather, Rasulullah. The Prophet would walk proudly with both Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein salam on his shoulders. When Imam Hussein salam would see me, he would wave happily at me. I remember thinking, I wish I could have Imam Hussein salam on my shoulders too. Then one of the children begged, "Please continue." Abu Rafi again teased playfully, "You really want to know all about all the children shouted in unseen. "Yes, teacher," he continued. Imam Hussein salam was very good at games, but he was also very good sport. Many times while we were playing the game of stones, he would let my rock hit his rock so that I could win a ride. He would have to give me a piggyback ride, but whenever this happened, I would remember how he rode on the shoulders of Prophet. I would think, how can I ride on the shoulders of someone who has ridden on the shoulders of Rasulullah? Instead, I would insist that he ride on my shoulders, since that was the true prize in my eyes. Abu Rafi continued, "Then when he hit my stone, before he could say anything, I would already be kneeling ready for him to climb onto my shoulders, realizing what an honor it was to be just like the Prophet. I would proudly smile as Imam Hussein salam would ride on my shoulders. You might be wondering how I managed to carry Imam Hussein salam on my shoulders so many times. That's the miracle." He paused. "Maybe I'll continue this tomorrow." The students begged, "No, please continue." Abu Rafi smiled and continued, "You see, when Imam Hussein salam climbed onto my shoulders, he was almost weightless. It felt like there was nothing on my shoulders, and in return, Imam Hussein would hug me and be kind to me. This happened many times, and to this day, it is one of my favorite childhood memories." The children all giggled when they heard this story. The sunlight came from the morning was now shining brightly through the window and upon the classroom. Abu Rafi looked towards the children and picked up his Quran, kissed it, and said, "All right, children, it is time to begin our Quran class. Bye. See you later. Khuda Hafiz." Please like and subscribe and share my channel. Khuda Hafiz. Fi amanillah.